Hello. Don't you just love it how life sometimes forces you, well, almost forces you to do things a little differently? Like, I am, I've become so used to, sit here in the morning, and then record a video, and while the video's uploading, I work on my other videos. Nowadays, I like to release uh, a long form and a short form on the same day. Yeah, because these short forms, they're fun to make. It takes a little time, it takes a little effort, but in the end, there's like a beautiful collection called the layer of awareness, the layers of awareness, layered awareness. What's it called? Yeah, I think layers of awareness. And yeah, and then yesterday I sat here, wanted to record a video, and I was like, I I was talking. So the talking was just happening, like the thinking is just happening. Uh, well, the music is loud. Well, uh, yeah, whatever. Apparently, my trip to one of the Bali Islands was had has done me so well that upon return, I felt like energized, like wow, yes, whoa, this was like a really good decision, just to go off on my own, do my own thing, meet my family, my friends, people I know, familiar surroundings. Of course, it's been months since I've been there. So, yeah, things changed, of course. Restaurants, like, disappeared, like, completely gone. And new restaurants, like, pop. Uh, I sometimes don't know how they do it. They work really relaxed, really. No rush, no santai aja, santai, just relax, chill, and then yeah, whoop, there's a restaurant. So then, in the morning, I I don't like goodbyes. I really don't like goodbyes. So I did say goodbye and then recorded another video. Uh, and then, yeah, I had to rush a little, which was not necessary because, yeah, on, especially on these islands, everything is just so chill. Everybody is just, relax, dude. Um, yeah, so uh, it was full moon, so they sometimes they say like on full moon the ferries don't go, they don't drive, but it so depends on the ocean. And yeah, near the harbor, well, there's actually no harbor, it's just a beach where you enter a smaller boat which takes you to the ferry speedboat. And yeah, it looked rough, but as soon as we left, uh, the shore, got into deeper water. It was fine. It actually was quite, yeah, it was nice. It was fast. We were there before I knew it. And then, yeah, when you exit the boat in the main harbor in Sanur, um, there's a, yeah, there's like an entry hall, exit, entry exit. I didn't feel like going there. It was busy, so I know my way around, like, or for the viewer. Yeah, following the locals. Always follow the locals. They know their way around. And then normally there's like a drop-off area. You, yeah, you know the drill if you've been traveling. If a taxi driver wants to drop you off there, they need to pay. So of course they'd rather not. And this is just, to not have the harbor full of cars, taxi drivers waiting. No, it's nice. And then when you normally exit the parking area, there's like 50. I call them the taxi Gestapo. Taxi, taxi! They really try to force a taxi on you because they know once you exit the harbor fully and cross the main road, there's like a grab area they made a couple of years ago. So you take a grab cab, which is in general a lot cheaper. But now, because I was in such a good flow, I guess. No, I pretty much know. I was in a really good flow, in a good vibe. So the moment I bypassed the the main terminal, there was a guy looking at me, leaning against the car, and he didn't scream. He just said, "Taxi." And I said, I looked at him and nodded, and he said, no, I said, Ubud. And he said, which they never do, how much? So I said 300, because I know with Grab it's 400 nowadays. So yeah, I just, it's bartering, it's you start low. And he agreed, like 300, yes, okay. Then he, on his walkie-talkie, he called the guy. The guy walked up to me, looked very friendly. So yeah, for me it felt like, okay, I mean 300 is for the, not for the driver usually. They only get like a percentage. But because, yeah, if I take a Grab it's 400, so I already calculated like, okay, I'm gonna at least give him 100 tip, just for him. And he was a nice guy. His English was good. The whole taxi ride, we had a conversation. At some point, because I told him like, we were talking about energy work and I don't know, talked about so many things. I think it started when he, I don't know no, the order. So he mentioned his granddad, who had already passed, was like a high priest up in the mountains of Bali. I think he mentioned it because I was talking about the Balinese New Year. They call Nyepi, which is I think 19th of March, 19th. Yeah, I think. Um, and I mentioned something like me being a Balian, a healer. I'm also a healer, I said. But yeah, Western style. And he was interested. And he said, "Yeah, I can feel your energy is strong." He was getting goosebumps all the time. So it was it was like meeting a brother. It was me like meeting a long lost friend, a friend haven't seen for many years. Um, yeah. So upon arrival here in Akamana, I asked him, "Can I offer you a drink?" And he was a bit surprised. He said, "Yeah, I'm free." Okay, so we walked in, and it was very, you know how they are, right? Well, you don't know maybe, but Balinese people, they're so mellow, they're so respectful. So they entered, and I saw Agung, the manager here. Hey, how you been? He was just texting me because I didn't announce I was leaving. I said on the day I left, yeah, I'm going to meet a friend. Go away. Yeah, fly. It was just a fly. They like my coffee, as me as well. Hmm. So, um, yeah, I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. I didn't want her to know. Yeah, if you want to know who her is, and you're new to my channel, I recently broke up with my 5-year girlfriend. We still occupy the same building. She's living downstairs, me upstairs, and it's a weird situation. Uh, yeah, if you want to know the full story, I recommend you watch the pressure cooker trilogy. I will put a link in the description. Um, so, and that was weird. Yeah, I do have to mention this. When I arrived, when I entered the restaurant, I work here every day, right? I sit here every day, so they know me well, uh, and customers come and go. And there she was, sitting at the table, and it was like it was not her. It was like just the customer was sitting there. I glanced over her, uh, noticing her, but because I was with the cab driver, uh, saying hi to Agung, uh, walked straight into the garden, ordered something to drink, and I felt so energized, not bothered at all by anything. It felt like a homecoming. I don't know how to describe this. Yeah, it just felt like very familiar, like, okay, I'm back home again. And so we sat there. Uh, there's a nice area there where you can, sit and face each other. And we had a long talk about so many things. How he started the business. I think they organized trips, so they rented a boat. It was with some Latvian guy, and I could already sense like he is, yeah, he's definitely an old soul, but struggling in this life. So finally, he's been cab driver 7 years. Uh, Invested some money in this new business, which felt like lucrative to him. But the Latvian guy, I don't know if you know these types, and I'm generalizing, of course, but they're in it for the money. Then they only need a local uh, to set up the business, you know. And yeah, once they don't need you anymore, and I don't even know the guy, so you know, it's just my intuition saying, yeah, this is what probably happened. And then he said something really important, because you know, his father being raised by his grandfather, the high priest. At some point, he felt like the Latvian guy is not really paying attention to what I have to offer. He is not interested in what I have to offer, what I'm bringing to this business, because he felt like a full partnership, like 50-50. So he decided to step out. He clearly felt like I need to get out of this before it goes wrong. Probably he had like a clear sense. But yeah, of course the Latvian guy was not gonna be like, okay, then I will sell you out, buy you out, pay half, return your investment. No. So he lost all of it. He was almost crying. But then we kept talking, and he said something very good, because this is what his father told him. Like, listen, dude, also take back your energy. Take your energy, take your soul out of this company. He did it, and the moment he did it, the company went bankrupt. Ah, you know, these old souls, of course, they have trouble with this transitional period we're in. Can you imagine? And I think most of you can relate to this. I estimate that, yeah, probably all my viewers, if not most my viewers, they're either uh, light workers, uh, mm, what they call, um, star seeds, grid workers, old souls. You have probably been around, or you picked a soul that has been around. Like me, for example. I mean, my story is that I've never been here on this planet before. I've never, I might not ever have been in a corporeal, in a physical body, or a humanoid. So upon arrival in this universe, of course I picked like a very experienced soul, a soul that has reincarnated again and again and again on this plane of existence. So it wouldn't be that hard. I mean, can you imagine? You probably can't, but yeah, maybe you can. I don't know. It might be hard to imagine coming from like a total different universe, entering this universe, and then, yeah, what is this all about? Especially when you've never been humanoid before. It's, yeah. I mean, sometimes when I talk about these things, I think, why even bother speaking about it? Because, you know, if you if you're not aware of that you're not the soul, that that which is eternal um, is not your soul. No, it's just your pure consciousness, the consciousness that you truly are. But if you were here from the beginning, let's assume you are a old soul and you've been on this level of existence for ages, millennia, maybe thousands of lifetimes, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, then at some point you might have figured it out somehow, like, okay, yeah, I do feel like I have past lives. I might not remember them. Maybe some of you did like what are they called? When you go back to a previous life, maybe through hypnosis. Regression. Yeah, regression therapy. I did it once and whoa. But I've always met people at the right moment, like mystics or mediums, and they could explain to me, they could read me, and they could tell me like, you were a Native American, or you have the soul imprint of a Native American chief, and you've been you lived in Africa as this or you lived in France, in Brittany, Bretagne. And yeah, you know, it's just stories, because most of us, we have no clear memory of these things. We cannot recall, like clearly recall, and yeah, I've been there and I've done this. You know, so often when people have like a déjà vu, when they enter a city, they go on a trip, a Europe trip, and they walk around in Venice, and then it looks very familiar. Yeah, probably you lived there a whole full lifetime. It's changed a bit, maybe. So, old souls, star seeds, light workers, grid workers. Hello, Doug. Yes, a doggy. Another one. Um, they have a hard time because, yeah, when you arrive here and you have no recollection and nobody ever tells you about this, and in school you learn all this bullshit, history, no, that's not true history. The evening I arrived here, I had a long conversation. Well, it was basically a monologue with Agung and Dewa, the other manager, explaining the whole Anunnaki story, starting Sumeria, Old Egypt, up till now, and yeah, even that, to me, it's just another story. It's not like, listen, this is the truth. No, it's not a story. And yeah, what you were taught in school, it was presented as facts. And I think this is why I think I consider science, history being a science, as the most dogmatic of all religions, because you're not allowed, basically not allowed, to doubt these facts unless you you present like clear evidence. Yeah, and then, you know, when you offer this clear evidence, let's say flat earth theory, and then they just laugh at you. Yeah, because, you know, you're saying something out of the ordinary. You're saying something extraordinary. And extraordinary doesn't mean extra as it's like really ordinary. No, extra means outside. Outside of ordinary, beyond ordinary. Right now, we as a collective have shifted. We were still on the balance, at the scale. It could go this way or that way. And yeah, many channelers or people who have insight in these things, they claim we've tipped the scale. So let's say 51% has awakened. Enough, at least enough to like there's the point of no return. So right now you either chose to be on the positive path or on the negative path. And if you chose the negative path, which is not bad. No, it just means that probably up to 6 density you'll be on the negative path. Another story, right? But you might know a few people you no longer resonate with. You might know a few people you don't really want to connect with anymore. I suggest you let them go. That's not advice, no, it's just a suggestion. But I suggest you let them go. And yeah, maybe say a prayer for them or light a candle or wish them well. They have free will. It's their choice. It's not your responsibility. We have learned our lessons or are learning to take full responsibility for you. I take full responsibility for me. Everything that appears in my reality is my choice, my creation. Yeah, and when you say this to some people, they of course they want to point out like, so you also attracted this disease, so you created this disease, or you created this misfortune, or this accident, or a death maybe. If you're only responsible for you, then you can go on whatever. No. That's a victim state trying to pull you back in. Drama. So the choice has been made by the collective, and those in control, they were in control for a long time because we as a collective chose, not consciously of course, but yeah, we chose to agree, to give our consent to the slave system. And now, after 2020, so many awakened and they said, okay, no more. No. There's even a quiet rebellion going on. The major change is that a majority have stopped looking outward for guidance, not looking up to a god anymore to provide, not blaming the devil anymore for unfortune, not even blaming God anymore for unfortune. No, ah, we, to, when you live in gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, you're just grateful for whatever life offers you. Yeah, much more to talk into. Well, I think it's enough for now. So I did record a video. Tired. Wow. And yeah, I didn't feel like releasing it publicly. So it sits nicely in the While Shift Happens collection. And if you are familiar with this channel, you know where to find it. It's like a little nugget. There's another nugget in there, a little bonus for you, just for you. And if you're new to this channel, you'll figure it out. Or not. I mean, this video just stands on its own. It's its own story. And yeah, I will see you in another story. Ciao.